Well, the yang goes out with a bang. You've got to yin it to win it. And today's reading speaks directly to that.
This is your quest, your journey. Beautiful years.
Hello friends, welcome to day 12 of my 30-day video blogging challenge. We've resequenced things a little bit, so first is going to be the card reading. And if after the card reading you're interested in learning more, at least about my personal updates and how the reading has landed for me and those reflections, you're welcome to stay until the end of the episode. However way you tripped over this, whether it's through YouTube scrolling or whether you came on this spontaneously or randomly, or maybe I shared this link with you, this message is for you. Okay, let's begin. While I get this deck prepared, one of the questions that I was recently asked is, what's the difference between a tarot deck and an oracle deck? The differences really lay within 3 or 4 major categories. One is the structure of both decks, they're a little bit different. Second is the symbolism that's represented in these decks. Third is the history of both of these ways of tuning into cosmic wisdom. And third, or rather fourth or last, is a learning curve. With a tarot decks have a specific structure. They typically consist of 78 cards that are divided into the major arcana, which is 22 cards, and the minor arcana, which is 56 cards. The minor arcana is further divided into 4 suits: cups, wands, swords, and pentacles. As you can tell, it gets a little bit more deep. Symbolism with the tarot deck is that each card in a tarot deck has a traditional meaning and symbolism associated with it. For example, the Death card often signifies transformation or the end of a particular phase. Tarot has a long and rich history, with origins tracing back to the 15th century in Europe. So that's where the origin of a lot of the tarot decks come from, is 15th century Europe. In terms of the learning curve, due to the structured nature and the deep symbolism, tarot often requires a steeper learning curve for those who wish to really master its intricacies. Now what we're using is an oracle card deck. Oracle decks, they don't have a standardized structure or a number of cards. Each deck is unique and can range from just a few cards to over several hundred. Symbolism. The meanings of oracle cards. Symbolism. The meanings of oracle cards are typically more straightforward and are often written on the card itself. The symbolism and imagery can vary widely from deck to deck, and so those who create oracle decks, if they are really great decks, the authors will have a lovely story of how they channel the wisdom within the oracle decks. And within the Starseed Oracle deck that we're using, the 2 writers, Rebecca Campbell and Danielle Noel, they actually went through a 30-day meditative process to inform the imagery as well as the wisdom and meaning behind each of the images in each of the cards. Also, oracle decks in terms of history are a more modern tool for divination, with many decks being created in the late 20th, 21st century. In terms of learning curve, oracle decks are often seen as more intuitive and easier for folks like us to start with, and there's no set structure or traditional symbolism to learn. It's just tuning into the wisdom, pulling the card, and seeing how the wisdom of the card applies to you. Okay, so that's a little bit of the background between these 2 decks. All right, let's get started. Surrender to the sweetness. Venus energy, pleasure, joy. Make love to life. Oh, wow. Again, if you tripped over this in your YouTube scrolling or found this as a suggested video, this message is for you. This is a sensual, highly feminine card. It's a call to surrender to the sweetness of life, to let the ever-abundant feminine take over, to taste the fruits you've been working so hard to grow, to let your senses take over and really drink in your life with wonder, to get intoxicated in the simple bounty that this planet has to offer and which you have within you when your well is full. The ancient Babylonians connected the feminine goddess Ishtar to the planet Venus, and in Roman mythology, Venus was the goddess of love and beauty. In our night sky, aside from the moon, Venus shines the brightest. Time is our most precious resource, and it's the greatest healer. If you've been all work and no play, this is a sign to take some time out. Anybody else can resonate with that one? To reconnect with your lover, play with your children, and give yourself the luxury of time without an agenda. Many of us are so busy building our lives that we forget to enjoy them. We forget why we decided to build them in the first place. Disconnection from the sweetness causes more pain than we realize. So many of us walk into soulless buildings 5 days a week in the name of survival. We strive to build a life of our dreams, but drive ourselves to exhaustion. This card is wooing you back to the pleasures of being human, to focusing on what really matters and enjoying your incredible life. Starseed Soul Inquiry. How can you surrender to the sweetness of life? What's one way you can enjoy your life a little more? Wow, what a powerful reading. I did not expect that one because right now, cranially, even though there's a long weekend coming up, I've just been in go mode. One of the things that is a source of my own frustration is whenever there are incomplete tasks or promises that I made to myself that I didn't keep or didn't at least complete for myself. Whether that means keeping those promises or at least taking inventory of those and then renegotiating those from a new place and reevaluating what has led to those initial choices or creations to begin with. So what I'm really getting out of this card for myself is over these next day or two, I'm going to really take stock in all the things that I actually have accomplished, take inventory of anything that's left incomplete, and take that as an opportunity to recreate those agreements and give myself permission to recreate them newly. There's a big part of me being a performance coach, having emphasis on results, and then also in my 9-to-5 working in this organization called the Ever Forward Club. I've shared with you all a little bit in my previous video blogs. In fact, this is the office and this is where all the magic begins. But because there's more doing, there's always more to do. And so this card is such a beautiful reminder to take that time. And what that looks like for me concretely is spending time with friends, sharing my acknowledgement, not having a time limit, and then also taking a deeper inventory of all the things that I'm grateful for. There are so many blessings in my life that have occurred in this last week, 2 weeks, and I'm sure also in your own life. They say that the frequency of gratitude cannot exist in the same frequency as grief. So if you're struggling with any kind of grief or letting go, sometimes gratitude can be that antidote or that balm to help heal the grief and create space for something new to arise, which, as this card is saying, surrender to the sweetness. Thank you again, friends, for tuning in, and as is customary for us, is to share a prayer. One of the things that I'm really deeply connected to is my Hindu or Vedic as well as my Jain heritage. And recently, with several of my friends who have actually lost people in their lives and who happen to be from the Jain community, I would like to share with you a Jain prayer that connects us to our ancestors, that connects us to our deeper intuition, that connects us to the frequencies of all of those who are walking the path consciously and with compassion, past, present, and future. So I invite you all to close your eyes, take a few natural, normal breaths. Just allow this prayer and the frequencies of this prayer to wash over you. The Jain prayer is written in the language of Prakrit, which is a sister language of Sanskrit, so it goes back several thousands of years. So it's in the intonation and the sound vibration that creates healing in our bodies, minds, and spirits. So let's take another breath in and release. And I'm going to say this prayer once. Again, we call in all our angels, guides, ancestors, gods and goddesses, ascended masters, and a direct channel to our intuition. Prayer goes like this. Om Namo Arihantaram. Om Namo Siddharam. Om Namo Ayariyaram. Om Namo Uvajhayaram. Namo Loe Savasahunam. Eso Panchanamukaro. Sava Pava Panasano. Mangalaram Cha Savesim. Paramam Havai Mangalam. Paramam Havai Mangalam. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you again, friends, for staying to the end. Peace and love, and until next time, be well.
This is your quest, your journey. Beautiful years of learning who you are, what you'll be.